Well, it's been a while since I've posted and been wanting to get back to it. And just walking through the bush here on Boyne, heading to William Wyndham's gravesite. I can't remember exactly where it is, so we'll see how we go finding it. You know, I really don't know much about the fella. I know he was one of the first white settlers here on Boyne Island. But what I am heading for is not the place that marks his life, but his last resting place on this earth. You know, we think about a lot of things, but one thing we often don't give enough consideration to is there's going to be a marker like this for all of us one day. Well, whatever sort of man William Wyndham was, this is where his life came to an end. Not sure if you can read it. William Trevelyan Wyndham, born 30th of April 1830, died 8th of July 1898. We got streets named after him in our town, and he had his family here. Go for a walk over the next few days down to Plum Tree Park. Pretty sure that's close to where his orchard was. He'd have walked these hills at some stage, gathering here on this rocky ridge. There was him, lifeless in a casket, and his family digging a grave in this hard, stony ground to lay him to rest. That final resting place. I imagine him to be a man that was loved. Imagine him to be a good man. But of course I don't know any of that. I'm just imagining. You know, back there is the road that, as far as the history of this bush is concerned, that road was put in real recent, running to Boyne Smelter. But they'd have come up to this gravestone from this direction, I imagine. This hill runs back down towards the mouth of the Boyne, down to where I think the homestead used to be. Certainly towards one of the only ponds of fresh water in our little town here. We imagine what we'd like our life to be, what it will be, what our hopes and dreams are. And we've got a fair bit of free will in that. We can choose lots of things. One thing we don't get much say on is our final resting place. We know it'll come. We know this body will come to an end. We do very little to prepare for it. Whilst we don't have a lot to say about where we're going to die, God has left it up to us about where our soul goes. Ecclesiastes tells us that from dust we are, and dust we shall return. That the body will return to the dust of the earth from whence it came, but our soul will return to God who gave it. We'll have to give an account of ourselves. And we can either stand before God as a righteous judge who we have stood against all our lives, who we've disobeyed, who we've fought against, or we can stand before him as our Redeemer and as our friend. Oh, the Lord said he's given all judgment under the Son, all judgment under Jesus. So, when you die, that's who you stand before. William Wyndham, as he exited his earthly life, he was ushered before the throne of God to give account of himself. Saved or lost, I don't know. Did he stand before a friend? Or did he stand before the God who he had made his foe? Who are you going to stand before? Friend of publicans and sinners? You're going to stand before Jesus, your personal Saviour, your friend? Or will you stand before a God whose love you've denied, whose existence you've argued against, and whose salvation in the death of his Son, Jesus Christ, you've rejected? The Bible asks this question really right throughout its pages. What will you do with Jesus? It tells us what he's done for us. It asks the question, what will we do with him? He that hateth the light cometh not to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. He hates the light and runs from it. Jesus said, I am the light of the world. In the Gospel of John, we're told that light came into the world, speaking of Jesus, but men loved darkness rather than light because their deeds were evil. Back in the Garden of Eden, you see Adam and Eve step into sin and they hide from God. But God comes looking for them. He calls their name. So too in the New Testament, Jesus came as the Good Shepherd to seek and to save that which is lost. And he'll come to you and he'll call your name, and you'll have to decide before you end up buried in this cold earth. You got to make a decision. What are you going to do with Jesus? You're going to come to him? Come unto me, all ye that labour and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Or are you going to turn from him? Ultimately, that's what your life's about, making that decision. We get to earn our fortunes, raise our families, chase our dreams. But at the end of it all, we'll end up on a ridge like this, and if we're lucky, buried beneath some gum trees with our opportunity gone. And when that day comes, then it will matter what you've done with Christ. Have you believed on him? God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth on him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Trust in Jesus today. He's the only answer, and he's the reason you're here.